Hey folks, Prof Psych here. Here's another video memory for you, okay? Now, here we're going to look at Sperling's test. Last video, we looked at that grid of coding, capacity, duration. Here we're just going to focus on Sperling's test, which really investigates this. Originally set out to investigate the capacity of sensory memory, but with variations actually showed much more. Sperling. Now, here, folks, is a classic laboratory experiment, highly controlled, okay? Think of the strengths and weaknesses of a laboratory experiment, but let's get into it. Now, the test itself is the participants are presented with a grid, a 3x4 grid, okay? And in each box, a letter will be presented. All 12 letters, therefore, presented at the same time. And because this is sensory memory, okay, the letters are only presented for a very short time, 1/20th of a second, okay? Let's experience that, okay? So are you ready? Because this is going to happen very quickly. Keep watching, keep watching. Here is the test. Okay, so you've just been presented with 12 letters very, very rapidly, okay? Do you any good? Did you have a bit of paper? Do you think you got them? Because here's the answer, okay? Maybe for this one, if you want to pause the video for a bit of fun, I'm going to present you the same grid, different letters, okay? Let's have another go. Ready? Okay, so you can see this test is very short, very rapid, very controlled test. Check your answers if you like, okay? Now, we could go on, but I'm not going to do that. I'm sure you understand the test and that we can repeat with many different combinations of letters, so it's a novel test each time. Let's look at the results, okay? What did Sperling find here in terms of capacity? How much could the participants remember out of those 12 letters, the 12 items? Now, on average, in the original research, participants can remember 4.5 out of 12 letters, okay? Interesting. What does that tell us? You know, what do we conclude about it before we look at variations? We conclude that if they can remember 4.5 out of 12, they must be taking in all 12. They must be taking in a lot of information to immediately be able to recall 4.5 out of 12, okay? So then Sperling goes on and does some variations. He changes something. Here's what Sperling does to change. See this as a different experiment, like a changing a variable, a second procedure, okay? So in this second procedure, Sperling called it the partial report. The description of this is, we're still going to be presented with a grid, the 12 letters in the grid, okay? But this time, Sperling, immediately as the grid came and went, Sperling gave a high, a medium, or a low tone. Okay, I hope you like the effects I've brought in there. A high, a medium, or a low tone. All right. And then the participants had to recall if it was the high tone, the top row, medium tone, the middle row, low tone, the bottom row, okay? In other words, they're not reporting on all of it, they're reporting on a part of it, the partial test, all right? Now, the question is, do the participants get better or worse? Remember before, 4.5 out of 12, okay? Not even 50%, not close to 50%. Here, the interesting thing is, in terms of the result, okay, so we get flash the grid, immediately we have a tone, there's your middle row, okay, and now they can remember 3.3, but remember that's 3.3 out of 4, getting close to 80% retention there. So what Sperling concluded from this is, what must happen when we take in through our eyes those letters, we must have this sort of after image that retains in our memory, because when we're guided to, for example, the bottom row, actually our recall is really good, but around 80% recall, okay? Here it must demonstrate then this second procedure. It must show us iconic coding, this idea that we have this brief after image when we're presented with the letters. So then what's interesting, Sperling then does a third procedure. He changes just one thing now from the second procedure. Here, the participants are shown the grid, but now Sperling starts to delay until they hear the one of the tones. So he's now just giving a little delay before participants know which row to recall. What Sperling found quite dramatically is that recall decreased rapidly the longer the delay was from seeing the image to hearing the tone and knowing which row to recall. Okay? This tells us that duration in sensory memory is very short, and in fact, when you start to go anywhere beyond around half a second, it really starts to affect recall. Duration must be somewhere around half a second. Okay? Folks, that was Sperling's experiment in investigation of sensory memory. 3 variations which demonstrate different things. Okay? More videos to come on other research to support other areas of memory. All right, don't forget to don't forget to follow Prof Psych on Instagram, to subscribe on YouTube. Many more videos to come. Keep working hard, folks. Enjoy.